Okay, welcome back, folks. So, this is a rather extended series of lectures on creativity and the pursuit of wisdom. We've laid a lot of groundwork so far, talking about some of the ancient words and concepts that we use to, explore our experience, to talk about our experiences, the experiences of ancient peoples, and lots of their ways of speaking and the things that they tried to articulate. We don't speak that way anymore. And I think because we've maybe lost sight of how to speak that way, maybe when you can't speak about certain experiences, it's almost like you become numb to them, right? You probably still have them, but because you can't articulate them, you can't think about them, your consciousness of them goes away. It's like, George Orwell, when Orwell's talking about, newspeak, right? And how we can strip away consciousness simply by getting rid of words. And then, there's more control over humanity in a totalitarian society. So I think what we've done thus far is tried to recover some of those ancient understandings of wisdom or thoughts, thinking about how to get to, how to pursue wisdom. What I want to do now is just look a little bit at what we typically talk about when we're talking about wisdom. The word wisdom still exists. We still pay lip service to it. Oh yeah, it's great to be wise, right? But what do we mean? What do we mean today by wisdom? And, are there problems with what we mean? Like, we've got this idea of what wisdom is, but have we really taken it up? I showed you a diagram a few lectures ago with arrows going up and down. Have we really taken up our concepts or our ideas about wisdom and kind of measured them against reality? I want to do that today in this lecture. So let's state the problem in schools. Here's a quote from Tobin Hart's book, The Secret World of Children. Kind of an interesting book. Jim, 14, looked back on his earlier school career. I couldn't get my teachers to take my questions and ideas seriously. I thought this was what school was going to be about. It was such a big deal about going off to first grade, but I kept waiting for us to talk about life, why we're here and all, what this world's all about, the nature of the universe, things like that. When I'd ask or say my ideas just to start sort of get things going, there'd be dead silence, and then the teacher would move on to spelling or something. I thought, okay, I guess we're getting the basic stuff this year. And then we get into the good stuff in the second grade. I can wait that long if I have to. Well, the second grade came and went, and it wasn't any better, maybe worse, since we didn't even get to play as much. By fourth grade, I remember thinking, I must be an alien. These people don't understand. I'm not a social zero. I have friends. But no one, especially not the teachers, are talking about this. School seems not to be very interested in my questions, or any questions really. It's all about the answers. We're only supposed to give the right answer. That reminds me, I'm an English language arts teacher, and one of the things they talk about in textbooks often is this thing they call the fourth grade slump. The idea is that at the fourth grade, for some reason or another, kids, they just fart out, like en masse. They stop doing well in school. Their reading goes down. And, one of the reasons why they say this is textbooks suck, and textbooks start to be introduced en masse in grade 4. Well, it turns out now, in the infinite wisdom of, the governments and that, we're getting rid of textbooks because textbooks cost the government tons of money, and they cost schools money, and they've got an excuse now not to have textbooks because textbooks, cost, they're no good, and this fourth grade slump, and blah, blah, blah. But reading this about Jim, it makes me even wonder, are textbooks really part of, the reason why Jim faded off? Maybe it has nothing to do with that. Maybe it's just something about this deep craving that he has to know. And then by grade 4, kids start to say, okay, I get it. This is all bullshit. It's got nothing to do with me or my interests. It's got nothing to do with these. Maybe I don't even know what it is I want to know. But whatever it is that happens in school, it's not arranged for me to explore that. It shuts it down, right? And then you stop even being able to say it because it's faded so far from your memory, even the word it doesn't even register as something that you're inquiring into. So, I don't know. That's just a little bit of a tangent by me right now, thinking about this 4th grade slump. I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that we simply don't concern ourselves with wisdom or wisdom's pursuit. What we mostly do as teachers, we ensure that students are able to give correct answers to very specific sorts of questions. We ensure that our students have worked their way successfully through the given curriculum. We measure their successes at doing so by how correctly they answer our questions, as well as the questions of our provincial masters. Calvin's good at answering questions sneakily, see that? As teachers, we're held to account by parents and administrators and the government for ensuring that our students are able to provide the right answers on their standardized tests. So it's very surprising by the time a student comes to high school, he or she still maintains an eagerness to explore the sorts of irrelevant questions that Jim had when he was a little boy, at least in a school setting. These questions are mostly discouraged in children through years of focus on performance in response to other sorts of questions that are deemed to be the really important ones. The questions we ask of the students are ostensibly of much more practical significance and higher social value. In fact, the entire machinery of school is designed to impress upon students the seriousness and significance of the sorts of answers that they must be able to provide for the specific kinds of questions we pose to them. By focusing on these mandated questions and by answering them successfully, students earn good grades, and they earn accolades from their parents and teachers and peers, and they can gain admittance to the right school and thereby secure a good job. And the good job is needed to provide all the goods necessary to have the cycle repeat itself for the next generation of students who also must enter a globalized and highly competitive world of work. That paragraph is just me repeating what Linus says to Charlie Brown one day when they're walking down the street about why are they going to school. Well, the purpose of school is to earn good grades. The purpose of good grades is to so that you can get into a good college. The purpose of getting into a good college is so that you can get a good job. The purpose of getting a good job is so that you can make money, so that you can have a family, so that you can have these children who you can send to school to get good grades, and around it goes, right? So it just seems like such a treadmill to these two boys. The wisdom of peanuts. It doesn't seem like Jim's question as a little boy has any real place in such a school system, given the sheer weight of responsibility we've foisted upon him for being productive and competitive and successful. In fact, the standardized test scores of students in Canadian schools are some of the best in the world. So why the complaining? Isn't our school system working just fine? And if it's not good enough, isn't it best improved by focusing even more strenuously on improving student performance in the areas of response measured by our focused sorts of questions? Isn't more of the same, right? Isn't it the case that our manner of educating already produces, in the main, a good, competitive, highly trained, highly educated workforce and citizenry? What more could you want? Wouldn't it be ridiculous to change things so that the focus of our educational efforts wasn't on these things? When the shit hit the fan, right? This sort of success is what people want for themselves and for their children, after all, right? How would you sell that when everybody wants success? Perhaps Jim's questions and concerns are irrelevant from the standpoint of getting ahead in the world. And for this reason, perhaps nobody will ever care enough to change things. Perhaps our modern-day schools offer students all they will need to succeed in those areas of endeavor that are valued most by people. Perhaps Jim's questions as a little boy don't matter, or if they matter, maybe it ought to be Jim's own private affair to pursue these concerns. Why should public money be used to help Jim pursue questions that have no practical import and probably don't even have an answer anyway? These all seem to be legitimate reasons to dismiss the call to philosophize with children on the public coin. Mass education should produce mass practical results. The bottom line is that we need more critical analytic thinkers who can problem solve. We need to keep up with other nations competitively and innovatively in the fields of technology and science. Shouldn't our educational efforts continue to be directly focused solely into these practically relevant areas of investment? I got a quote here from Robert Sternberg that kind of throws a wrench into that machine. Here it is. Human intelligence has, to some extent, brought the world to the brink. Intelligence has brought us many good things, but also has brought us nuclear weapons that have the power to destroy the world several times over, as well as the addictive designer drugs that are destroying the lives of millions of people, young and old, around the world. Human intelligence has brought us where we are. Human intelligence, combined with creativity and practical intelligence, may have brought us the disasters of the World Trade Center that took place on September 11th. The plan was creative in its own way. It was analytically brilliant, evading the defenses of a nation, and it was practically shrewd, inflicting maximum damage for the number of people who were needed to carry it out. But the plan was not, for whatever else it may have been, wise. And the people who hatched it were not wiser either. It may take wisdom to help us find our way out of a trap of our own making. See, so Sternberg's onto something there, right? That's essentially how we started this whole series on just questioning some of Sir Ken Robinson's, flag waving around rah-rah, sis boom bah for creativity. So what do you think? Is more scientific knowledge, more critical analytic skill, more technical mastery over nature, and greater success in global competition to get ahead enough? Do we simply need to focus on these objectives more strenuously and with greater success? What is wisdom? What does it mean to pursue wisdom? Is wisdom too lofty a good for children and teachers to pursue? And what might the pursuit of wisdom look like in an educational setting? Thanks for listening.